name is Thomas, and today I'm going to be tinkering on this custom 2018 6-inch lifted Nissan Titan. Just before I get started with this review video, a huge thank you to the Fish Creek Nissan dealership here in Calgary. They lent me this massive truck for the day so I could review it. Their website is linked in the description below. Go and say hi to them. They've been amazing to myself and my family. We bought 3 vehicles off them and possibly a 4th very soon. First things first, let's talk facts. All of these specs are for the normal Platinum Reserve Edition for a 2018 Nissan Titan. Some of these specs will change with the lift kit. First off, and most importantly, the heart of this truck is a 5.6 liter double overhead cam 32 valve V8 gasoline engine that produces 390 horsepower at 5,800 revs per minute and 390 foot-pound of torque at 4,000 revs. Gas mileage is 13.4 liters to the 100 kilometers or 21 miles per gallon combined. That is 15.2 liters to the 100 kilometers city and 11.1 kilometers highway. There is a 7-speed automatic transmission, 4-wheel disc brakes with EBD and ALB, 1,610 pounds payload capacity, and 9,230 pounds towing capacity. All of the Titan trim levels, apart from the very bottom one, comes with optional 4-wheel drive. The final drive ratio is 2.937. The fuel tank capacity is 98.4 liters. It seats 5 people. The total curb weight is 5,934 pounds. The bed length is 5.5 feet. It has auto dimming mirrors. And lastly, there's an 18-degree approach angle and a 22-degree departure angle with 9.6 inches ground clearance. And because this truck is lifted, certain things like the gas mileage, the towing capacity, and the ground clearance will be different on this specific truck. I want to talk about what makes this specific Titan so special. So there's a 6-inch lift on this, and all the modifications that they've done to make this the perfect lifted truck is so long that I actually have an entire page where everything is listed off here. For the front lift, installed the new steering knuckles, strut top mount spacers, strut bottom mount adapters, new front and rear drop down cross members, swapped over the wheel bearings to the new knuckles. You get the idea. There's a lot of modifications on this lift kit. If you want to read through them all because you are a part of the 2% of people that care about this, then you can pause the screen now. The 2 most important things to me are these massive blacked out fuel rims and the fact that they did everything in-house at Fish Creek Nissan. Let me put this into perspective for you. I am 6 foot 5 inches tall, and probably an extra half an inch with these shoes on here. Standing next to the Titan, I bet you wouldn't think that I'm 6 foot 5. This thing is absolutely massive. And sadly, this video and no video on the planet will do this justice. This is probably 7 feet off the ground. There is not a single normal stock truck ever that is gonna be taller. Nothing will beat just seeing this thing in person. When I was at the dealership earlier on picking up this truck, I took a couple photos of it next to your normal standard base model Nissan Titan of the same year, 2018, and I just couldn't help but giggle. I thought they looked ridiculous. This makes it look like a mouse versus a bear. This is a monster, this is a beast, and I would not have this Nissan Titan any other way. Now that I've seen it lifted in this color with these rims, because this has the 6-inch lift on and bigger wheels and bigger tires than the original standard Titan, this is like a ladder getting into it. I actually need the step rails on it, unlike your standard vehicle where I feel like I'm having to break my back to get inside of it. This thing makes me feel tiny. Now, it just happens to be my lucky day because I wanted to review all the features of the new Nissan Titan. And the good thing is, A, this is the highest model they have, the Platinum Reserve Edition. And the second thing is even the add-ons for that range, I still have all those extras in this truck. Now, just like with the lift kit, there are endless add-ons, so I'll just highlight a few. The first is the lighting on this truck. So you'd think that most new vehicles would either have LED lighting or HID lighting instead of old-fashioned halogens. And the good thing is all the lights in this truck are actually LED, apart from a couple halogens that I did find around the truck, but they're so minor. The second feature that I'm very happy this truck has is a start-stop push button. This is becoming standard in most vehicles, and it's nice to see that Nissan is keeping up with the game. Now, I can imagine for most people, if you get this truck, you're going to be using it as a daily driver, so comfort is super important. And I've never driven a comfier truck. This Titan has all heated seats, the 3 in the back and the 2 in the front. On top of that, the front seats are also cooled. I'm very happy to see that they've also included a heated steering wheel with the heated and cooled seats. They've also included what they call the premium open pore wood IP finishers. That's basically just a fancy way of saying wooden trim. There's also ample plugs in this car. There's a USB that's very accessible in the front, all along with multiple car outlets, as well as a wall plug in the back. On the back left-hand corner of the bumper, there's also a bumper step that you can use if you have trouble getting into a truck that's this big. And for your average Joe, I think that's going to be a very, very well-needed accessory. Even I find myself using it when I'm getting into the back. A big bonus to having a truck this big is you have lots of room for speakers. In this truck, there's 12. These speakers are the Rockford Fosgate Premium speakers. I'm very much about my music, and I'm so happy to see that Nissan has gone out of their way to create a superb audio system in this truck. They've also installed a remote starter, which is a huge bonus here in Canada. All you have to do is hit lock and then press and hold within 5 seconds the remote start button, and et voila. Now in Canada, we get nice weather every now and then. All you have to do is press and hold the unlock button, and you can open the front windows. Another must-have on a truck this big is power folding windows. So there's two types you can get. There's the giant tow mirrors. Those ones don't fold in automatically, or the ones that are installed on this truck, which are the power folding mirrors. They definitely do the job if you aren't towing something huge behind you. And the big bonus is that when you're trying to park in tight spaces, you can fold them in to get a couple inches of extra room. So along with blind spot indicators, this truck can see 360 degrees around you as you're reversing, alongside front and rear sensors. And another wacky feature about the Titan is there is a grand total of 16 cup holders. So if you're a Canadian and you love your Timmy's hot chocolate or coffee, then this truck has been purpose built for you. They've also included floor mats that have both fabric as well as plastic, so you can use them for whatever you want, whether it's fancy dinner or work boots. I'm also quite fond of this space that they've made on either side of the center console for your phone or wallet. The Nissan Titan has also included a power back window. Another handy feature on this truck is the easy open tailgate, all by itself. And when you want to close it, all you need is a pinky finger. Try and do that on your truck. And lastly, this truck is four-wheel drive, which you would expect from a truck this big that's in Canada, where we sometimes get 3 feet of snow in about 2 seconds. Next, I want to talk about the pros. This is going to be a little different because I'm splitting this up into two separate parts. The pros of the Nissan Titan in general, and then the pros of having this beast of a truck. So let's start off with just the pros of the Nissan Titan in general. By far, one of the biggest pros with this truck is the promise of longevity. There's a 5-year or 160,000 kilometer, which is 100,000 miles, warranty cover. That is insane. No other truck can guarantee that. Now obviously if you get into a crash in this truck, they're not going to fix it for you for free, but if anything goes wrong that isn't your fault, you have 5 years or 160,000 kilometers where they will fix it for you free of charge. That also includes a 24-hour hotline service and 3 years of free roadside assistance. And just to top all of that off, if anything ever goes wrong with any part of the lift kit, there is a lifetime warranty on all those parts that they swapped out and added on. That means if anything goes wrong, they pay for the replacement. A good way to put it is to reference a big magazine.
Truck Trend took 8 trucks from 2017 and tested them all in some of the most grueling and tough ways ever. They had nice things to say about all 8 trucks, but specifically they had lots of good things to say about the Titan. Not only did they all agree that if they each had a daughter that's 5 years old, and in 11 years when she gets her driver's license at the age of 16, she gets a hand-me-down truck, they all agreed that the Titan would be the one they choose simply because of the longevity of the Titan. But they also crowned it the 2017 Truck Trend Pickup Truck of the Year.
Another big pro to this truck is the size. With the 6-inch lift, the bigger tires, and the bigger rims, this thing is a beast. A good way to put it is when I go to a concert, I'm used to my head being 1 foot above everybody else's, so I can see what's going on, I can see the band, I can see the singer, and nobody can get in my way unless somebody else my size comes along as well. But that's not very often. So I feel the exact same way in this truck. Until another monster truck comes along, I can see everything that's going on, and I feel so safe and big and tall in this thing. So for me, it's just what I'm used to, and I love the feel of that on the road instead of being below everybody else. Especially like I was saying in Canada, everybody here drives a truck. And that actually transfers me quite well to the cons. The one big con of this truck is the same as one of the pros. It's the size. Again, it's all about what you're after. So for me, I love it. For some people, having a truck this big might not be exactly what you're after. For example, let's say you're going to the airport and you're gonna go meet somebody, but you don't know exactly when they're gonna be coming in, their flight was delayed, whatever it may be, and now you have to park this truck in the parkade, because if you park anywhere else, you're gonna get a ticket. This thing, no way in hell is this fitting in a parkade. So that means you either have to go home, get another vehicle, come back, or you just have to risk it, park it somewhere, and possibly get a ticket. And another size-related issue with this truck is some people just can't get into it. Now, obviously, most people that can't get into this truck aren't going to really have the desire to buy a truck like this, so it doesn't really count as a full-on con, because I know people like me would want to buy this truck, but maybe not an 80-year-old lady who couldn't get into it. So earlier on, my mom came to check this truck out, and well, this was the experience. All right, Mom, let's see it.
Okay, this is tricky. Yeah, I really need like another install a little bit lower, but yeah, that works. That's a lot easier.
I just don't have it at the end. And you can bring the shoulder. Is the shoulder?
Oh yeah. 73-year-old conquering the Titan. But like I said, I'm sure my mom would never have the desire to buy a truck like this. She's very happy with her small SUV.
Also on my wish list for things I think Nissan should do is create a bigger screen on their Titan. It's such a big truck and there's a tiny screen. The good thing is in 2020, they will be giving us the bigger screen that we want. This bigger screen will most likely consume the buttons around the current screen, such as the climate control and radio buttons. Currently though, if you compare this to RAM, it doesn't hold up, as RAM has a tablet-sized screen very similar to what Tesla is doing. And I shouldn't really have to say this, like, come on truck companies, get rid of this annoying silly antenna on the front of the vehicles. All they're good for now is letting you know when you're about to scrape some paint off the roof of your truck. Nobody listens to the radio anymore, especially when you give them Sirius XM and Bluetooth. Almost any modern car on the road doesn't have this anymore.
And the only other negative I can think of with the Titan lineup is that there's no sunroof option. Like I said, this has all the extras on it, but there's no sunroof up here. The good thing is that in 2020, the Titan will have a sunroof option finally. Now, the stats, the features, the specs, none of that matters unless it can all come together and create something that drives well. The one thing that surprises me so much about this truck is that even though it is one of the biggest things on the road, you don't feel like it when you're on the main road, on the back roads, it doesn't matter. You feel big, you're higher than all the other cars, but you don't feel like you're taking up 3 lanes. You don't feel stupid obnoxious. You don't feel like you're out of place. I still feel like I'm comfortable, I still feel like I'm safe, and what really surprises me as well is going around corners, there's no extra body roll. The team at Fish Creek Nissan has done such a good job of building this kit that I don't notice going around corners that I'm 6 inches or a foot higher off the ground. Now, I put a photo on my Instagram story at official Thomas Warren. You guys want to go check me out there? And I got a lot of people saying, oh, you know, I wouldn't want to drive that because it would be too scary. I wouldn't feel comfortable. This is just surprising me one time after another. It doesn't feel scary. I know I'm used to trucks, but I feel like somebody that's even used to a Honda Civic could get in this, and after 20 minutes of driving, it would feel completely normal to them. Now, when you think of a big truck, the type of person you think that's going to drive it is also a pretty big dude. And I'm happy to say that the seats are adjustable, so basically anybody could drive this. I was just testing out the range of the seat, and I was so blown away with how high I can go and how low I can go on this seat. Let me pull over and I'll show you what I mean. So this is where I sit comfortably. If I was 7 feet tall, I could still drive this. And on the other hand, it also goes so far forward that I actually can't go any further forward, even though the seat wants to, because my knees are so squashed. Now, I'm a little hesitant to talk about the speed and the acceleration because this truck has less than 200 kilometers on it, which means that it just isn't worn in yet. The engine hasn't broken in, which means when you put your foot down, you're not getting everything that's there yet. If I've learned one thing from reviewing trucks, cars, anything, it's that they have to wear in first. And if you don't let it wear in, then you're not gonna get the full oomph out of it. For example, when I was testing the Frontier, it started off very slow and very lazy, and it just bumps, it didn't feel like it drove very well, and I was so shocked by that. But once I got up to 10,000 kilometers, it was quick as a whistle, and you put your foot down and you're off that line straight away. However, there was an issue with the old 04 Titan that I was driving, because when you put your foot down, there's so much acceleration straight away. Just before you even look at the pedal, it just wants to go off that line, and then the rest of the time it's pretty slow. With this, I find that just at the beginning, it's the other way around. It's very slow to begin with. Again, it just hasn't worn in yet. And then once you get going, if you put your foot down and you get up to 4,000 or 5,000 revs, this thing is flying down the road and you're literally being pushed into the back of your seat the whole time. I know I thought this little feature was so cool that you've put a manual mode on this truck. So there's a little plus and minus button here. Yeah, it doesn't feel super tough and super truck and super manly, but I love that they've done that. So if you're towing something, you can manually shift if you're going up or down a hill. And if you're driving a truck like this, then I guess you can also drop a gear and disappear if you're dying to get past somebody else who thinks they're in a bigger, better truck than you are. Now, pretty much the entire market, apart from Dodge, has leaf springs on trucks, and this is no exception. There are still leaf springs on this, but it doesn't feel super truckish. It doesn't feel super rickety and tough when you're going over bumps. You're still gonna notice them, but I feel like the lift kit on this especially is just helping out. And the last thing is I'm super happy to see that they haven't put like crazy buttons all over the steering wheel. All these cars nowadays have all these amazing features, and I think that's fantastic. Keep adding to these cars, keep adding to these trucks. We should always want to go for the next great thing. But when you put all the buttons on your steering wheel, it gets so confusing and you don't know what's doing what. You're almost like driving a Ferrari F1 car because there's all these things and it's all happening from your steering wheel. On this, it's nice and simple. You can change your volume, you can change the song. If you want to put it into cruise control, you can. It's very basic, it's not complicated. I look at it and straight away I know exactly which buttons do what. Now, not that it matters, just because it's fun, I'm gonna mash my foot and see what happens. Okay. Now, do I ever think you're gonna win any drag races in this truck? Probably not, especially when you're lifted like this. There's gonna be a lot of wind resistance. There's good horsepower and there's good torque, but it is a truck. It's more for towing and less for drag racing. Let's do that one more time. It was kind of fun. Now, most of what I talked about today so far has been the facts. It's been numbers, it's been features, it's been things that you can't really say are untrue. The next part here, these are just gonna be my thoughts. This is all opinion based. This is what I think of this truck. To start off, this thing is just such a statement in your driveway. If you put this in your driveway, people are gonna notice that it's there. People are gonna start talking and asking questions and gossiping about like, oh, did you see so-and-so got his new truck? If you buy a new Honda Civic, nobody's gonna blink an eye. If you buy this thing and put it in your driveway, your entire neighborhood is gonna know about it and talk about it. Especially when you swap it out with the 2018 Nissan Frontier Pro 4X, which is so small compared to this thing. Like, just look at this. The Titan's a monster compared to this thing. The Frontier doesn't even look like a truck anymore. The second thing about this truck that catches my eye is there are badges everywhere. First of all, you're gonna know it's a Titan straight away because there are badges everywhere saying Titan. Titan, 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 T-I-T-A-N, Titan. Secondly, if you get the highest edition, which is the Platinum Reserve Edition, they also put badges for that everywhere, just to keep reminding you that you're driving the Platinum highest edition. Platinum Reserve, 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 Platinum Reserve. Now, when I think of the Nissan Titan, I think of longevity, and the reason for that is not because of the amazing warranty. It's because when my family and I moved here back in 2004 from England, we bought the brand new Nissan Titan, and it's still running today and only has a few minor issues. I'm not saying Fords, Dodges, Chevys, GMCs of the same year wouldn't be running today. I just feel like the Titan has handled aging so well, and I'm so happy to see that it's still in such good condition for being 15 years old. I truly believe that if you look after this thing, it'll treat you well for 20 years without any major hitches. Now, if you clicked on this video, you may have done so because you saw this giant lifted crazy new Titan, and it's something that you're not used to. It's something you've never seen before, and I totally agree. When I saw this thing in person, the reason I wanted to review it is because it's just so crazy. You don't see this thing on the road ever. And sometimes people have never even seen the actual base model of the new Nissan Titan. The reason for that is because Nissan doesn't own a lot of the market. Now, if you are considering getting a new truck, I want you to at least consider this as a competitor. Nissan has made leaps and bounds, and by learning from their competitors to make this truck, and I feel like they've done a superb job of doing so. The sales of the Nissan Titan have doubled in the last couple of years, and the reason for that is because people are now taking this truck seriously and not seeing it as the little brother anymore. Talking about a little brother, the little brother to this truck, as you may know, is the Nissan Frontier. I was playing around with that truck before and made another video on that. I'll link it in the description below. And I found that the turning radius on it is absolutely atrocious. I could not stand the turning radius. It was just as bad as the old 04 Titan. What I found is the turning radius on this truck is just as good as it is on the Frontier. So you have that little tiny truck, and now you have this huge monstrous truck, and you can do a 360 in the same radius. Now, just because this truck is big does not mean it can't be fun. I promise you, this truck can be fun. See what I mean? What you'll find in a lot of new trucks is little Easter eggs, little nods to older generations all over the truck, and Nissan has started to do that as well.
There is a sticker on the tailgate, and they've used the image of an old 1997 Nissan Frontier. Although maybe I wouldn't call it old, because that is the same year that I was born after all. Something else I found quite interesting as well is Nissan has only created this one truck. Yes, they have the Titan and the Titan XD, but the biggest difference between those two is the option for a diesel engine in the XD. If you look at Ford, for example, they have the F-150, 250, 350, etc., etc. What Nissan has tried to do is they've tried to make the Titan do the work of all three, and I think they've done a pretty good job.
Now, from my experience, any vehicle will completely transform at nighttime, either in a very spectacular way or in a very, very poorly done way. And I'm happy to say that the Nissan Titan has done it in a very spectacular way. The lights on this look so badass at nighttime. I love it. On top of that, there's also an illuminated step rail on either side that's done automatically. So when you walk up to the vehicle, they just turn on if you have the key fob in your pocket. I'm walking up to the truck, the key fob is in my pocket, and the lights turn on. I didn't touch a thing. These are your normal night lights, and those are your high beams. They have nailed these LEDs. Without a doubt, I can definitely give this Titan the neck breaker stamp of approval. Whenever a car is coming the other direction, all I see is people breaking their necks to check this thing out. Now, I haven't addressed anything that's safety related, because it should be pretty obvious that in a truck like this, you're the safest person on the road. So if you run into anything or anything runs into you, you should be okay. There's a couple key points that I want to address. The first of all being, there's a very advanced airbag system on board.
What you see here is the ranking that was given to the 2017 Nissan Titan by the Insurance Institute of Highway Safety. They gave the Titan the highest rating of good in every single category, which is also referred to as a 5-star rating.
And secondly, I'm happy to say that the blind spots on this truck are really not that bad. Back on the 04 Titan that I drive every now and then, they're atrocious. The beams on the side are huge. On this, they're really not that bad. You can see out of the windows very well. All the mirrors are exactly where you'd want them to be placed, and just to top it all off, they give you blind spot indicators and that entire 360-degree camera view with front and rear sensors. Okay, so now to answer the big question. Let's say I had $70,000 sitting around and I had to spend it on a brand new truck today. What would I spend my money on? Well, I would spend it on the Nissan Warrior if that was an actual truck, but sadly I don't even know the specs of that thing. I've only seen it in person, and that was just the body, and they haven't released anything else about it. If that was a thing, hands down I would spend my money on that if it was $70,000. Sadly though, it doesn't exist as of the making of this video. So the closest thing to it, I believe, is this. So yes, I would spend my money on this truck if I had $70,000 to spend on a truck today. It's not every day that I notice an American versus a Canadian accent, but I say Nissan. If you're an American and you're watching this, do you say Nissan? Like Nissan? Nissan? Completely unintentional, dude. I'm actually matching the Titan today. Blue and blue, like a yellowish brownish, and then black rims and black shoes. What do you know?
Unintentional, hey? Nice.
Unintentional. Completely unintentional. Freeway. Platinum Reserve, eh? Oh, Platinum Reserve. Oh, yeah. can't believe they made that electric instead of manual. Pretty cool. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been my biggest video to date working with Fish Creek Nissan. Again, their website is linked down below. If you have any questions about this truck, feel free to drop them in the comments down below, and I'll try and answer them if I can. Drop a like if you learned something from this, and if you feel like subscribing, you can, because that means I get to work on bigger, badder, and cooler vehicles. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. Oh, Platinum Reserve. Oh, yeah.